Welcome to On the Corner of Main Street, presented by Plaza Hotel and Casino in downtown Las Vegas. Here is Plaza CEO Jonathan Jossel, Gary Vickery, and I'm your host, Lisa Melmed.
Today we are joined by Las Vegas icon, musician, singer, impersonator, Frankie Scinta. Welcome to On the Corner of Main Street. How are you today?
I'm great. Great to be here. I don't know about the icon thing. Maybe a little icon.
Legend. You left out legend.
Legend.
Me and Lisa were debating on whether or not to use icon or legend.
I don't. You know what? I've been here so long, and as far as local headliners go, I feel like I feel like I belong here. You know, I feel like part of that headliner community. Because at the time when we got here in 2000, every hotel had a headliner. You know, there was a Clint Holmes at Harrah's. The Scintas were at the Rio. Penn and Teller were at the Rio as well. And every hotel had its local headliner. And then you had the big...
Siegfried. Don't leave Siegfried and Roy.
Oh, my God. Siegfried and Roy. And we just lost Siegfried, didn't we?
We did.
Another icon. Now, that was an icon. Those guys were just... You know, I was with them the night before Roy had that mishap with the tiger. We had his birthday party. And it was such an amazing night. And to have that happen the next day, it was such a sad event. It was really just changed everything in Vegas. And all the headliners. Lance Burton, of course, another great headliner. And we were like a small family. We really were. And when 9/11 happened, we put a concert together, and every headliner that existed, I think the only one that couldn't do it was Danny Gans at the time, but every single headliner performed it, Wayne Newton, everybody, and it was quite an amazing thing, and I've never seen anything like it again.
Where was that at? Where did that happen?
I don't remember where we did it. I think it was at either Caesars. Somebody will have to correct me. Because it's, you know, I'm getting old now.
Hold on, Frankie. Slow down.
Yes, sir.
Firstly, who are you? Where are you from? And introduce us to the concept of the Scintas going back to your early days. Let's start.
Wow. You know, the Scintas was almost an accident. I was performing as a child protege, as a little boy. My grandpa passed when I was 6 years old. And out of 27 grandchildren, he left my brother and I his instruments. And it started right there. By ear, my brother started playing guitar and bass. I started playing guitar, then picked up the banjo and the mandolin. And by the age of 7, I was on local TV. By the age of 10, I was on national TV. 11, I was on Merv Griffin, and I never looked back. And I just loved music. By the age of 19, my brother and I accidentally got together when Paul McGuire, who was a color commentator for ESPN, he was an ex-Buffalo Bill, which is where we're from, Buffalo. Go Bills, by the way.
Wow, big weekend coming up for the Bills.
Yeah, that is really. That's going to be a tough one. But Paul McGuire had called me and said, hey, is this Frankie Scinta? This is Paul McGuire. And I looked at my dad at the table. I'm going, it's Paul McGuire. And he's going, what? He goes, I need a piano bar player. And I said, well, I don't work alone. I work with my brother. Now, I never worked with my brother. Now, my brother's van is packed, mind you, to move to Florida. He's out of work. He's going to sell alarm systems with an old band member. And I said, no, we'll audition. And my brother's flailing his arms. And my father, with his big hand, grabbed my brother's arm and put it on the table. When my dad did that, you didn't move. He was a very quiet man. And my brother sat there. We went in my dad's basement, put a bunch of equipment together, rehearsed for 3 days, went there, auditioned. We were the Scinta brothers. What else could we think of?
Right.
Couldn't think of anything cool like the Beatles. And that was it. Within 6 months, you could not get in this place. It was jam-packed, lines around the block.
This is in Buffalo.
Buffalo, New York.
Yeah.
Chrissy came in on weekends because she was too young to stay all week. And we would do, I don't remember, 4 or 5 shows a night, sets a night. And it was a piano bar with the stools around it. Right. And finally, people behind that couldn't see. So my father said to Paul, could you remove those stools? And he goes, well, you know, the people like those stools. And it was big guys like some of the ex-Buffalo Bills, doctors, lawyers, and they would tip us $100 a piece. Do this song. And, of course, those guys, hey, do something, sing Mama. And you sing Mama, and you see these old gangsters sit there crying. Oh, look at these. And they loved you. And finally my father goes, those stools got to go. And Paul goes, yeah, but he goes, if they don't leave, my sons are out of here. So he moved the stools. And then we got lights that we got from high schools and stuff. And we had three lights, pink Fresnel on each one, which is a gel, and one green one so I could do Kermit the Frog. We hired a guy for $5 a night, a little kid that lived next door to us, to use the dimmers. My dad built a dimmer board. This is, unbelievable that this all happened. And before you know it, the guy that owned the Playboy Club, Jimmy Cosentino in Buffalo, he had just bought it and built it. He said, whatever he's paying you, I'll pay you double. And we went there, started touring Playboy clubs, didn't even have a drummer yet. Okay. And when we played Great Gorge, New Jersey Playboy Club, a New Yorker, very brash, hey, my name is Frankie G. I play drums. Could I bring my drums in? I'll sit in with you. We go, yeah, bring him in. He came in. He was with us for 10 years. And then he gave us a 3-day notice. and
at the time, you're still a teenager, right?
I was in my 20s.
You're okay.
20s, and we were traveling around the country playing, like those lounges that were like not the big showrooms, but they were lounges, and they were paying us at the time, I don't even remember, $2,500 a week, which for us, it was like making $100,000, because before that we were making $400-600 a piece a week. So it was just a blessing. And how many Italian guys, for a better phrase that we could use, would come up to me and go, I'm going to get you to Vegas. I'm going to get you kids to Vegas. There had to be 100 of them if there was a million, if there was one. Well, one guy out of Detroit, Joe Vickery, who owns the steakhouse up at the D.
Now it's all coming together.
And he said, I'm going to get you to Vegas. And he said, I'm going to have a meeting with all my friends. They were all multimillionaires. There were 10 of them. 9 of them were Sicilian. 1 was Irish. He said, I want to take the Scintas to Vegas. I believe in them. It's going to cost us money, but I want to do it. It's going to cost us about $300,000. Who's in with me? Not one of those guys raised their hand except the Irish guy, Dick Scott. If you believe in him, I believe in him. They put the money up. We went to the Hilton. Within 6 to 7 months, the Rio.
Hold on, who owned the Hilton back then?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I wasn't in the business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Joe Vickery handled it, and Dick Scott.
They just performed.
They did all the meetings. In fact, we moved out here, and like the week before we started, they sold it. And the deal was off.
What year was this?
2000.
Okay.
And Joe
so you moved to Vegas in 2000?
We did, but it was like kind of winging a prayer. We leased houses, rent.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to come here. I cried. I don't want to go to Vegas, man. I love my family. My dad was still alive. I had Sicilian uncles. And, for a kid like me, your family's everything.
Right.
And we did come out here.
So at the time, were you just wanted to be a traveling musician, just kind of?
Yeah, I wanted to go
hit the East Coast up and down.
I would have loved to come here for 4 weeks and go back home, but this was a headlining position. But we did come here a couple times, like the Riviera, the lounge at the Riviera. Steve Sharippa was the entertainment director,
right.
And when we got too much of a crowd, he'd come up, he'd look at me through the 10 people deep outside, and he'd give me the cut sign to cut the show. So I remember telling him, I'm never coming back to Vegas unless I come back as a headliner. And he goes, you're a little pisser, and he'd give me a little whack. Honest to God.
But then you got the call to go to the Rio.
Yes.
In
we
2000.
Got yes. And that contract.
That's when you became Vegas royalty. Because I tell you, I was just talking to someone the other day, and she's like, yeah, I used to be at the Rio back when it was actually open and the Rio.
Yeah.
And they're like that. The Scintas, they were synonymous with the Rio. And in many ways, I guess at that time, the way other headliners were, who were the relevant headliners in town in 2000 when you came
Well,
here?
Lance Burton, Siegfried and Roy, the Shin-tuhs, Clint Holmes. There were just Danny Gans.
Some of them are still going today, and obviously some have passed away.
Yeah, Danny Gans. We lost him in an eye blink.
Yeah.
He was huge. You know what happened was, and we were at the Rio almost 6 years, and it was the contract was something you don't see today.
Right.
I mean, even big stars would take the contract we had then. The money was ridiculous.
Right.
They spent $1.6 million in advertisement a year back then. Now they won't. You know, you're a president of a casino. It's hard for you to spend, $100,000 a year to advertise a show because things are so different now. But those were the days, man. We were riding high. And we lived the life. We loved it. I always appreciated it. But when the bottom fell out is like around 07, 08.
Okay.
Right. That's when it all changed.
When they said, why are we paying entertainers when they'll pay us to perform in our showrooms? And I think that really changed the face of this town. I don't know. I'm not saying it's a bad thing or a good thing.
But Frank, we'll get into the business side of it in
Yeah.
a second. So just talk us through the timeline, though. After the Rio, where did you go?
We went back to the Hilton
Okay.
at the behest of my sister's husband, who was our manager at the time. And he said, we're going to four-wall the room. And I think it was about $15,000 a week we had to pay. And after we paid the union guys,
Right.
and me being a loyal guy to my cast, I didn't let any of my people go. My assistants, my sound and light people, I made them move here with us. I mean, that's the way we grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time we paid everybody, my brother and I, we had, $100 a piece or
Right.
nothing.
Yeah.
And we lost between the Hilton and then we tried the Sahara. We put $250,000 in sound.
Was that before the remodel of the Sahara?
Yes,
Okay.
before.
Okay.
As I like to call it, the Titanic.
Yeah.
At the time.
Okay.
But we put carpeting. We carpeted the entire showroom. We put our own sound system in the showroom. And we had to leave it there because it was going to cost us more to remove the sound system than to leave it there.
Leave it, yeah.
So
Slowly
it
you're making your way down the strip, and then the next stop would have been downtown, right?
was downtown.
That was your first. And
Yep.
what were some of the differences between, being over there at the Rio and over at the Hilton to coming to downtown? And that was probably 2010?
I think it was, yeah. The D was the first stop. And the reason we went there, Joe Vickery, who opened the steakhouse from Detroit,
Right.
It's a high-end steakhouse, as Oscar's is. And Joe Vickery wanted, because he has restaurants, 22 of them in Michigan, all high-end, very nice. And he said to Derek Stevens, when Derek opened the restaurant, he said, Derek, my clientele is Frankie Scinta's, the Scinta's clientele. They're older. They have expendable cash. They're going to come to my steakhouse and enjoy it. Once they taste it, they're going to be my guests all the time. They'll go to the show. And the concept was great. The thing at the D was we weren't the right demographic for the whole picture. Right. Downstairs was young. It was, that music that's 128 beats a minute. And here we are, an old Vegas act. Not old, but vintage Vegas, and it wasn't, and the showroom was not a showroom. It was a kitchen converted into, and I love Derek Stevens, and he treated us great. He paid us well, but there was a mutual, I don't belong here.
Okay.
And that's when we left. And when I talked to Jonathan.
Well, it was, in fairness, it was Oscar Goodman who connected us.
Yes, it was Oscar.
Oscar called me and said he wanted to introduce me to you. We sat right there at Oscar's bar, our very first meeting ever.
Yes.
And I got to tell you, Frankie, it was a handshake. It was all on a handshake. It was.
It was.
It was
really
the way
was.
it should be. It was fun. You did what you said you were going to do. We did what we said we were going to do. And I think we had a good 2-year run together.
We did. And at the time, everything was changing. You know what I mean? Downtown was changing.
Right.
You were doing so much with this hotel, and you have done so much. I mean, this hotel is on people's lips now, where before you came here, it really wasn't. And even downtown wasn't. Yeah. And you could thank you and Derek Stevens and, you could thank the mayor because they really did a lot for this area. And it's so eclectic down here now because you got young people and you got older people. It's safe down here. It's cool down here. And that history is down here. Like down to your sign outside. That is what people remember that are my age and older. That was the Vegas they remember.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And younger people are starting to appreciate more of that vintage Vegas and coming downtown and really enjoying that experience.
Absolutely.
So speaking of vintage, what were your first impressions of the showroom that we have downstairs? I don't think we've talked a whole lot about our showroom on the podcast.
Not really, no.
Let me tell you, as an entertainer, and that's all I've done my entire life, I think that showroom is one of the living legends in this town. It is what a showroom was meant to be. And it's set up perfectly. I mean, the booths, the VIP booths with the tables. My vision for that room when we came into it, of course, money didn't allow what we all wanted to do. The maitre d's and the tuxedos and the really give it that whole ambiance. Right. But it's a different time now. But that's the kind of room it is. I think that's somebody breaking into my house. So it's okay. If they steal my credit cards, they can't spend more than my wife. So it's okay.
It'd be cheaper if they take it.
Just take everything. So I love the room. I absolutely love the room. You're right up against the people, and then the table's right up to the stage. The little 4 tops, 2 tops. That's Vegas, man. And if you look back at any of the vintage footage of the big guys, the Sinatras and the Dean Martins, that's what they wanted. They wanted those VIP booths where all the big VIP sat and the tables right up to the stage. And Don Rickles, which we are a little bit of, because we break oranges pretty good. We break balls pretty good.
You got to tell the whales joke. I always try to remember it.
The whales joke.
The whales joke.
Oh yeah, it was the guy sitting at the bar.
Yeah. And
there were 2 very full-figured, very large women, and he says, "Pardon me, geez, you're throwing me under the bus." It goes, "I noticed an accent."
Yeah.
And he said, "May I ask where you're from?" And she said, "Wait, am I doing this wrong?" I think I forgot it.
I always forget it, and then they say Wales.
Yeah, he goes, "Oh my God, I'm lost."
How can you forget the joke when you told it a million times?
See
every
what
night?
Happens when you're off the stage for over a year.
Wow. This is good. You're showing you're human. That it's not just the teleprompter up there. That
No, man, it is. It's all part of your life. And you know what? That was the thing of me and my brother. Nothing was ever contrived. It was kind of scripted,
right.
But as you saw the show, it was always, even though we had the same structure, we always vectored.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people love. They love the real, the mistakes, the breakups. Like Carol Burnett, the best part of that show was when they broke up laughing, when Tim Conway could make Harvey Korman laugh. Mm-hmm. And that's what you don't see anymore at all, anywhere, because everything's so perfect on TV.
Right.
So I just...
the show was human. It was real. It changed. You had the same order, but you never know what was going to happen from night to night. Like you said, you gave people a hard time in the crowd. You didn't know what they were going to say and feedback to you guys. So, and you mentioned Joey, and of course, we all miss Joey.
Yeah, that was a terrible loss. Joey and me were yin and yang. He didn't give a damn. He didn't care. At the end of the show, after we picked on somebody so bad, and Joe would go, "Listen, I just want you to know we may have picked on you, and, it's all in fun, and if we offended you in any way, right here." And then he'd look at the guy and he'd go, come on up here. And, and of course I'd run over there. But that all really happened on stage by accident.
I can't listen to a Neil Diamond song without thinking of him. I cannot listen to a Neil Diamond song without. But I gotta tell you, and maybe we can talk about it for a minute. The day that he passed away was, I think it was the next day you had a show.
No, that night, buddy. You came in
same night.
Same night you
and
came
I came in
the room
and said, "Frankie, go home."
It was like what? It had to have been within an hour.
It was. I got the call at about 5:45, and I was backstage getting everything set up, and Jonathan came in and said, "You should go home." I go, "Are there people coming tonight?" He goes, "Yeah, we got a pretty good crowd." I go, "Then we're going to entertain them."
It was crazy, and we did a tribute there. I mean, it was crazy in the sense that your performance was so incredible given the circumstances. I mean, it was very emotional. And then now I do remember. And then the next night we had the tribute video.
Yes,
we didn't get the tribute video right away, but the next night we had it, and the news came down to be there. But that was incredible that you still went on stage. And I remember what you said to me. You said if Joe was here, he would tell me to go on stage.
Yep, we always agreed. If anything happens to one of us, you better keep going.
Yeah.
And of course, Joe would have taken a vacation. He would have said, if you would have walked in and said, "Joe, go home," we go, "Good. Could I have a drink first?" But
Makes
Joe,
sense.
that was what made Joe Joe. I miss the hell out of him. I really do. But you know what? I haven't slowed down. If it wasn't for this pandemic, I've done a few shows with 32-piece orchestras and up to symphony size orchestras, and I'm working on that now. The show is called The Showman.
Oh yeah.
The Showman,
yeah.
and it's that's the title, and then it's just little Frankie Scinta, but it's different. I've written a lot of new material.
This is what you want to do in the future?
Yeah.
After COVID.
Yeah, after COVID.
You want to have your own show called The Showman in Vegas or traveling?
Well, I'm going to do a little bit of both. I mean, if Vegas will have me, man, I would love to have a residency somewhere, not with an orchestra. Of course, it would just be, a rhythm section with horns.
Right.
But on tour, there's a lot of pop orchestras all over the nation that are looking for a headliner to front that pop orchestra. And we're already working on that. I got an agent in New York working on it.
Nice.
As soon as it's open, we're leaning forward in the foxhole. The material's there. The charts are there. My conductor, I got a brand new musical director, new drummer.
Pete's gone.
Pete moved to Florida to help a family business.
Yeah.
And I gave him the wave of the hand after 31 years. He's like a brother to me.
He was like a brother. He filled in with you and Joe as if it was
man.
as if he'd been there with you your whole life, which frankly after 30 years you kind of have been.
Yeah. I mean, he was like family to me, and he still is. But you know what? During this pandemic, Pete would have been in trouble. I mean, we're all in trouble a little bit. If it wasn't for the mob money, my uncle left me.
So tell us, Frankie, in your opinion, when did this all change, right? In 2000, there's headliners. In 2006, your royalty at the Rio, and then the recession happened. But what was the shift in this town? Because we've had Ross Marlison from Absinthe on, who's successful with different types of show. Obviously, Cirque du Soleil's not done well last couple of years. And then there's been the evolution of nightclubs, and perhaps nothing's changed. Just the new version of a headliner is a DJ in a DJ booth that everyone's taking pictures of. What changed from what you guys were doing and were so successful in? Because I know so many of our other older customers would come and be like, "This is what we remember. This is what we want." But there isn't the mass appeal
Absolutely,
to it anymore.
there isn't. I don't think they're reaching out to the older crowd as much as they were, and I don't think the younger crowd spends the money that the older crowd did. I mean, they come in masses, but from what I see is they have one or two beers and have an ecstasy, and you know what I mean? Or I mean, I'm being honest, but not that there's anything wrong with that. God bless them, but I think the focus has changed. But the thing about Vegas is it usually goes in cycles, and I think it's going to come back. Now, for Vegas after this pandemic to bring back a J-Lo or a Bruno Mars, that's going to be far-reached for a while, because how could they put a 25% or 50% room, pay them the money that they get, and get their money back?
Right.
So this is opening the door for guys like me, I think. I could be wrong, but I also think the big showrooms, Jonathan, your showroom is going to be something very much in need. Honest to God, I think that kind of room is what the big rooms are going to eventually go to. Okay. Maybe not in the next year or two, but instead of 2,000 seats, they're going to go, wait a minute, why don't we build 3 rooms that are like 500 seats, 200, 300? Because you could put a comedian in one, you could put a band in this one, you could do Beatles tribute there, and you got all different kinds of genres right on your own property. And your showroom is perfect because it's just big enough.
Right.
It's just that right size.
You might be right as well, because it gives you the ability to sort of leave people in their own space. It's not everyone on top of each other. Like, you had some of the biggest showrooms or theaters that you're talking about, the 2,000-3,000s. You're sitting right next to someone. In our showroom, you have your booth, you have a bit of space between you and the place next to you. And yeah, I mean, I think everyone's going to come back from this pandemic, but there might be a shift in people's comfort in being in a packed room of 2,000-3,000 people for a couple of years after this.
Yeah. They want that intimate experience of.
But the one thing I think that you've landed on, I know it's not what you want to do long term, but I love what you do at the Italian American Club. I think that place is just classic. I think that's what people want, because you get this dinner setting with entertainment mixed together so well. And if you look at our showroom, besides for the Shin-tuhs, the one thing that was really successful in our showroom was that show, The Rat Pack is Back. But it wasn't because of the show. It was a dinner package. It was a dinner package. And people wanted that experience of sitting in an old Vegas room, eating good food.
Oh, they ate right in the room?
While the show was going on.
Oh, that's cool.
And,
See,
and,
we
and
should have done that.
I
too.
think so. Well, now it's tougher because everything's changed, and you've got to build a
of
kitchen,
course.
you've got to have the union. But the Italian American Club, I love that place. What you do there, and the entertainment you provide there, and the ambience of the room, that's pretty classic Vegas.
It is. You know what? You mean what we do in the lounge?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
But you can
fun.
eat dinner while you guys are up on stage. I mean, I've done that a bunch of times
Yeah.
with you, and not recently because.
No, I'm going to be there February 26th though with my whole big band.
Oh, you are in the big room.
In the big room.
I think
yeah.
I came to your birthday there.
Yeah.
Your surprise birthday.
Yes, that's. I'm celebrating my birthday because it's the 26th of February, and my birthday's the 27th.
Oh, okay, but that was a big one I came to.
Yeah, that was the 60th.
Your 25th.
Oh, was that it?
Frankie, what type of entertainment do you think is missing from downtown Las Vegas?
You know what I'd love to see? I would love to see live bands again.
Okay.
At all these bars, I would love, but it's so hard right now because, well, forget the pandemic. Even when it's over.
Move forward.
Post. I think it would be great. You know, like when you go to New Orleans, you know, there's a Dixieland band in one place, there's a country band here, there's a rock band over there, and people will spend money to see that. And I think this just walking around in a loud bar is it's peaking. I think it's going to change, and people are starving to see a live band, to see that, to get that feel of a real kick drum and a real guitar. I think, and they're sick of the tracks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The one singer with the full orchestra of tracks. I think that's what, especially downtown, has the ability to do that. And I would love to see that come back.
Do you ever go to the Sand Dollar?
No.
The bar?
I haven't gone anywhere. Because
No, not recently. I mean, prior to.
No, I haven't.
They have some good live music options. But there's places popping up downtown. I guess, were you asking more like within the hotel casino environment? Like, what do you see happening after the pandemic? You think everything gets back, or live entertainment comes back in some capacity? I mean, you still got some small lounge acts, I assume.
Yeah, I think the thing for me is when they said you got to have an audience 25 feet from the stage.
Yeah.
Now, picture my kind of show with comedy. It would be a moat in front of the stage.
Right.
That would be for me, that's like a killer. It would destroy what I do.
Right.
If I just was like some entertainers who perform to the back wall and don't care about the audience, that would be okay. But for me, I'm not going to do that.
You can't put Frankie Scinta behind plexiglass and expect that show to work.
No.
Because you're running around and you're interacting with everybody.
Yeah, I was talking to Vinny from Ed Analfi, who was with the Bronx Wanderers.
Okay.
And he performed in a city, I forget where he said, they dropped a black scrim in front of him. And you could see right through it, both sides. But if you threw a bucket of water at it, it wouldn't go through the scrim. Okay. Now, we're the entertainment capital of the world. Why aren't we doing something like that? I mean, this is Vegas. We have to, if we're going to keep that title, the word is entertainment, not DJ, not loud music. You got to have some form of entertainment. And we got to keep that title. It is Las Vegas entertainment capital of the world. Mm-hmm. We got to do something. And if we don't do it soon, people, there's a lot of other options around the country. Now with the Native American casinos, people could drive an hour from their house or 2 hours in any direction. They get treated like family. There's not the restrictions, although they are careful. But right now, nobody's doing shows. I just talked to 2 Indian casinos that I perform at all the time. They're not talking about shows until December.
Wow. So what did you do during the shutdown? What was your experience with it, and obviously not being able to perform?
I'll tell you what, I have a very, very close family. My children and my grandchildren were at my house every day. If we were going to get COVID, we were going to get it together. Right. Being an old, I hate saying it, an old dago like me, but I'm not going to wave at my grandkids from the street and, hey, Papa, that wasn't going to happen in my family. We feed 10, 12 people every day at my house.
Wow.
Everybody, my son, his wife, their 2 kids, my daughter, her husband, and their 4 kids, and then we always have some other family or whatever. If it wasn't for them, as Jonathan must know now because he's got kids, I realized more during this COVID how important that is to me. In fact, I get emotional because I love those babies so much. Yeah. That's my life. And it always was, but it really is. I mean, it opened my eyes to how important they are to me. And we did this, and my son said to me one day, and my daughter, why don't you do a live thing on Facebook? I go, who the hell's going to listen to me? Dad, they'll love you. Just do it. All I got is a piano and an amplifier and a microphone. Dad, it doesn't matter. They want to see you. So I set it up, one mic, my keyboard through the amp, a twin reverb amplifier. We had 19,000 views in 1 week. Mm-hmm. Little by little, we built it up. I got a little 4-channel mixer because the money wasn't coming in. Right. So my cousin, Joe, who's a self-made millionaire back in Buffalo, New York, he bought me this mixer, and then he sent me all the stuff to make it more microphones, cords. Then another friend said, wait, I got a 12-channel board, and you could use a dongle to go right into the iPhone, and it'll sound, well, I've been doing it now for a year almost, and my kids made me put up a Venmo and a PayPal thing if you'd like to donate. Okay. I fought with them. I argued with them off camera. We had some huge arguments. So I said, okay, we'll do it. People are sending in heartfelt donations. You've changed our life. We don't know what we would do without you. Our family gathers every Saturday. We sit around the TV and wait for you to come on. Honest to God, my mother passed, but we haven't laughed since when you come on, it brings joy to everybody. So I'm back. It's giving me something.
You do it every Saturday?
Every Saturday.
Why haven't you told me about it? Send me the link.
I think I did. Frankie Scinta on Facebook.
Oh, I gotta get on my wife's 6 p.m. Vegas time.
6 p.m. Vegas time, 9 p.m. East Coast.
Did you do the spoons?
When I get people sending requests, and I have listeners from all over the world now.
That's fantastic.
YouTube channel, Instagram, and it's just grown into something amazing.
That's awesome.
And my daughter Danielle is my co-host, and she is, as you know,
awesome.
She's hysterical.
I hope you listen to this, Danielle. You're wonderful.
She loves you. Oh. He walks on water to her. You're going to see. Could I go? I go, no.
She's the best.
I watched about 15 minutes of it back in, I think it was in May. I had seen one of it. There was a Facebook thing. It came up. It said Frankie Scinta was live, and I watched about 15 minutes of it. And it was definitely worthwhile to watch.
Now it's a little more polished, but it's still that raw. People love that real. So it's really like my show, but it's just me.
Yeah.
At the piano, I do have some tracks, but when I just play the piano is what the people love the most. They go.
I'll be listening this Saturday.
Thank
I can't
you.
wait. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
That's great.
Speaking, what is the spoons? For people who don't understand what the spoon.
Should we get 2 spoons? Well, we need a video.
Well, you can't show the video on the podcast, could you?
We'll record
No,
it
but we
afterwards,
can-
and we can
yeah, we can
release
take
it
care
as
of that.
part of the.
I have
Put
a
an
video.
exclusive clip out there.
Yeah, I got clips everywhere.
Okay.
We'll record it after the podcast.
Some
and
at
put it
the
on
post
social
office
media.
on the wall.
I'd love to hear, Frank, if you have any memories of Vegas in the heydays of your performing here as well, of just great memories, different people in the crowd, different nights, anything that sticks out to you that's classic. That you
There
remember?
were so many great nights. Justin Timberlake standing in the back of our showroom with Britney Spears, watched the whole last half hour of our show, and it was just
When was this?
probably 2003. He
Okay.
was still within sync, I
Oh, yeah,
believe.
yeah.
And when I heard about it, I was like, Michael Jackson one night came in, watched the end of our show. The Jacksons, Joe Jackson came in, LaToya, and they came in. They came to the Hilton, then they came to the Rio. Engelbert Humperdinck, the Righteous Brothers, Tony Orlando.
Wow.
So many. The cast of Sopranos, the whole cast except for Gandolfini wasn't here.
Okay.
But the whole cast came to the whole show, and I broke their balls the whole night that they weren't real Sicilians.
Okay.
But what I didn't know is one of them is really a real Sicilian, one of the real guys. And so he broke my oranges later. Called me a midget. Come here, you midget, because I'm short, obviously.
Well,
But-
I got to tell you, even though we weren't together all that long here, we have some great memories with you from New Year's Eve, the countdown. Every year you would host it for us
Yes.
before the fireworks. We did a Poyu Zabladovich's son's birthday in the Dome when you sang New York, New York, and Happy Birthday. You did a Dean Martin song. It was. We have a lot of great memories with you here, so thank you for those.
Thank you.
was
You
tough
know
to
what?
do.
Had Oscar's 80th birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Frankie,
Yep.
you were there for that.
I was there for that. And you know what? When I saw the fireworks this year,
Yeah.
it was kind of a clamped moment because I wasn't there, and
Yeah.
I thought, man, I would have if I was asked. But it's right now.
Did you
gotta
watch it on? Did you watch it on TV?
I certainly
we couldn't
did.
do anything. We
I
didn't
know.
have. We had dinner in Oscars, but we couldn't do any entertainment or anything.
No,
like
that's
that.
all right. Well, there'll be another time, brother.
Next year, I hope.
Next
But
year.
now we do have the spoons and we do have a mic.
Oh my
boy.
God!
So let's see.
this
You
is
couldn't remember
happening.
the Wales joke, so hopefully you can remember this.
Are you?
Are you Wales?
Are you? No. He goes. I noticed an accent. Where are you from? She goes. Oh, I'll think about
She
it.
says Wales.
She says no. He goes.
She says
He
Wales.
goes, oh, no, I got punched in the face.
Yeah.
He goes, what happened? I asked them where they're from, and she said, I can't believe I,
don't
can't
believe
think.
it.
So you put them in your hand. You put the top one with the spoon part facing down, the round part, and the bottom one in the last 2 fingers, and the round part facing up, and you just hit them on your knee, and then use your upper hand. Then you can use your 4 fingers, go. That's about it.
Oh,
Wow.
And
That's
it's the most
unbelievable.
requested stupid thing I do. Over all the talent God gave me, that's the one
two
people want
spoons.
to.
Two spoons banging together.
2 spoons. That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is.
Frankie 2 spoons.
Frankie
Scinta.
2 spoons.
do you have a certain impression that you do? Because that's another big part of your act is the impressions. Do you
I
have a
know it
go-to?
is. But you know what? I never consider myself an impressionist. More of a caricaturist.
Okay.
I love guys like Rodney Dangerfield. I'll tell you, I get no respect. You know what I mean? I went to a massage parlor with self-service. I
good.
told my
That's
son
good.
about the birds and the bees. He told me about my wife and the butcher. And I. And I always love the old guys, that I didn't know who they were. Because people go, well, if you do him in the show, nobody's going to know him. But I didn't know who he was when I heard him.
Right.
George Burns. You know, he was one of my favorites.
That was the best George Burns.
I always loved him, you know. And whenever I see Rich Little, I'll walk up to him. We see each other at Home Depot. And I'll walk up and I go, hey, kid, I know you. And he goes to me, hey, kid, I know you too. And it's just people watch us like we're crazy.
George Burns is great. I didn't know George Burns either, but you do a great impression of him.
Oh, thank you, kid. I appreciate it. Gracie liked it too.
Well, thank you, Frankie. Thank you for joining us.
It's a privilege.
I really love.
I miss you, buddy.
I love our relationship. I love what we had here, and I hope Vegas gets back sooner than later, man. We all need it.
We
all
do.
Need a boost.
And you know what? You have a great thing going here, and you have really made this hotel something special. It really is beautiful, inside and out.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you have a lot to be proud of.
Thank you.
So where can we find it? On Facebook Live? Search for Frankie Scinta?
Frankie Scinta, Scinta. No H, we couldn't afford it. So it's just Frankie Scinta, Facebook Live. I have a YouTube channel, Frankie Scinta, at Frankie Scinta on Instagram. Twitter's Frankie Scinta. And if you go to the local county prison, I'm there sometimes too.
Look out for Frankie Scinta, the Showman, coming to a theater near you.
I hope so, man.
All right.
Get out of here, COVID.
Yeah.
Frankie, thank you for joining us today on the corner of Main Street.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
We'll be back again soon, but in the meantime, please rate, review, and subscribe. Tell your friends about On the Corner of Main Street, and of course, follow us on social. On Twitter and Instagram, it's at Plaza Pod, and on Facebook, find us at Plaza Podcast. Or go right to the top and tweet Jonathan at Jonathan Jossel. We'll see you next time from right here on the corner of Main Street.